let's say you charge by the hour, and let's say you're steadfast in your conviction that this is the only way for you to bill your clients is on an hourly basis. Because if you don't charge by the hour and something takes you too long, you're going to lose your shirt. Well, by the end of this lesson, my guess is I'm going to have you completely turned around on that, and you're going to see why. And it's based on the following. You've already seen, if you watch the previous 3 lessons, how you can take a process that ordinarily would take hours to do manually and condense that down into minutes. Well, imagine if you were charging by the hour, how much money you would effectively lose. But the question is, has the value of what you're offering to your clients diminished just because you got it done faster, because you learned how to use a tool that enabled you to do it faster? Your expertise, your time and resources were pulled together to take a product like this, learn how to use it so you could get the job done much faster. Who should benefit from that? You or your client? The client's still getting the same end result. They're still getting the same value. What difference does it make how long it took you to get it done? This is what I'm going to underscore as I walk you through in this final lesson for this course, how using a product like PDF to Excel will really enable you to use the value pricing concept to tremendously, massively increase the profitability of your firm. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Value pricing is the phrase du jour for the accounting and bookkeeping industries, for all the professional service industries in general. It's kind of the new sexy thing, right? And the reason I bring this up, and the reason I bring it up in the context of a course on a product like PDF to Excel, is something that occurred to me actually while I was working with Lior, the owner of Cogniview, on how to develop the content for this course. It hit me that I could actually build a whole new stream of revenue into an accounting and bookkeeping practice, into accounting and bookkeeping practices everywhere in the form of document conversion. When I was discussing this with Lior, he identified for me a list, and I'm going to give it to you, of here are some entities that if you were inclined to want to get them as clients, you could really show them, forget about the bookkeeping and accounting stuff, you could show them a tremendous benefit in terms of the fact that you can take, let's say, a 500-page document and get it converted into Excel really quickly. And there are certain industries out there that in particular will really benefit from this, will really want to take advantage of a service like this with you. And those are manufacturing, logistic companies, where we're talking about, transporting freight overseas kind of stuff. Import-export companies kind of falls in line. Medical supply companies, architectural firms who are dealing with very large lists of all kinds of things, products and things that they need. E-commerce companies, for sure. I mean, I covered that a couple of times already in this course, how companies that are heavy in e-commerce are going to get all kinds of lists of products and pricing from suppliers. Well, they'll want to be able to quickly get it converted so that they can upload it into their backends. So I want to show you something here that will give you an example of how using a service like this, and this document is fairly simple. It's another price list, and it is 12 pages, right? But I'm going to show you how it doesn't matter if it's 12 or 500. It's going to be a very simple process to get this to work. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say page is different, and you're going to see why. Because actually, let me show you why. Because what happens is I start with this herbaceous species. It's a price list for a nursery, of course. But as I get further down into the list, the herbaceous species product is going to end, and a new type is going to begin, and now the structure changes. It's a little different kind of price list. So here's what we're going to do, though, that's going to make this really easy. I'm going to set up the table for this one. And let's go down. And what I'm getting at, bear with me on this, is I want to show you some really cool features that I haven't shown you yet in terms of what PDF to Excel can do. So let's get our columns set up here exactly the way we want them. Move that guy back over. So because notice here we have three different prices. I have a plug, a bare root, and a gallon, and the seed, right? So for the same product, I have different pricing depending on how you want to buy it. And let's get that header section up. And again, we're going to look at this guy. Let's pop it out because I want to be able to, get a good clean look at what the preview looks like on my other screen. And now I'm just resizing it for you so I can show you what I am looking at on my other screen. And that's here, right? So now in a separate window, I can start to easily see what this looks like. So far I haven't shown you anything you haven't already seen or learned, but here's what happens next. I want you to pay attention on the left-hand side here to these thumbnails. Notice I have page 1 and it has an A, right? And I skipped over it because there's nothing on page 1 that I want here. Page 2, notice, has a B there, right? It's a little small, hard to see, but it has a B, and page 3 has a C. These letters refer to the layouts themselves, so because I chose pages different, each one gets a different layout. But now page 2 is actually exactly this, or page 3 rather, is exactly the same as page 2. So watch this trick. I'm going to right-click here on the thumbnail, and I'm going to say Link Layout, and I'm going to choose B. So that's going to grab the layout and use the exact same thing. And I advanced too far. And what we'll do is we'll just drag this down a little bit. And since they're linked, it's going to treat them as though they are the exact same layout, right? Notice now they both say B. So I have the same layout for both of these. And again, just always wanting to check how this is coming out. Making sure nothing's getting cut off at the wrong point. Everything's looking good. So next page, now it's easy. Just right click, link, B. And now this updates. We're still on herbaceous, right click, link, B. Still on herbaceous here, right click, link, B. Page 7, link, B. Page 8, link, B. Now then we get to page 9. Page 9 is different because it doesn't fill up the whole page, right? So here's what I can do just real quick right here. We're going to copy the table, come over here, we're going to paste the table, Control V. We want to get our mouse on that guy, just kind of drag this over. And now I can resize this, but notice my layout, if you're watching the thumbnails, it's now, see, it's not linked to the others, so I can do this without affecting what's happening on the other pages. Get my headers fixed up. Looking at my preview, everything's looking good. Now we get down to the tree and shrub species. So this is going to be a little different table, right? So again, we're going to click and drag. And notice now we have layout D, because C is the different layout that carried over from the previous species. And now we have D, which is a whole new layout. And we're going to go to the next page. And again, we don't want to link because look what happens. Then I have yet another species, right? So again, I'm going to copy the table. Control C over here, Control V. And then we're going to bring this down. And again, checking my preview, everything looks good. And now we have one last page with several different ones. So at this point, I'm just going to set the tables up based on, just separate tables. Let's come over here. And actually, these aren't even pricing anymore. Let's go over here and say I want this guy with my seed mixes. What I might even do here is create this as a field and append it to table or show with table. So I know these are seed mixes. Did that same thing with the herbaceous species. And that carries through to all the linked tables. So I only have to do that once, which is awesome. Doesn't show up here because this was done as a separate table. So again, I can just go boom. Really simple. And at this point, I'm ready to convert it. Now, this 12-page document with all this different information with slightly different layouts. Again, imagine how many hours it would take a client of yours. Let's say this nursery was your client and they only had it in this format. Imagine how many hours it would take them to get this into a flat file format. Whereas I just spent less than 10 minutes, well under 10 minutes actually, because I was slowing down to explain. And it's already here. It's done. I've got everything I need in exactly the format that I need in just minutes. If I do a simple layout on a spreadsheet, it's going to become very clear to you. I've already underscored this plenty, I think, in this course, but I really want to make sure because I really feel it's important that I drive this point home for you. If you can imagine on a spreadsheet, and I can display it for you, of course, one column where I say I'm going to bill by the hour and I'm going to manually input all this data for the year, right? So let's say we're billing $40 an hour for our services, and let's say on the basis of doing it manually, it would take 100 hours to get the whole year done. That's going to cost $4,000 for the year to get that work done. And presumably the client has agreed to pay that. They see the value. It's worth it to them to spend that money to have you do it because you at least know what you're doing in your accounting software. For them, it would probably take twice as long if they could even figure out how to do it at all. Now you bring in a tool like PDF to Excel, and you take that process from 100 hours down to, let's say, even 50. And it's probably going to be a lot less than that, quite frankly. So your bill is going to go from $4,000 down to $400 potentially. And that's not something I would want to do. I wouldn't want to leave that kind of money on the table just because I got much better at my job. So I want to make sure that you can see, as I go through this last lesson, exactly how that comes into play and why, based on that, it's so important as you're learning how to use tools like this for you to employ value pricing and not bill by the hour, because you will lose your shirt billing by the hour when you start learning how to use tools like PDF to Excel to get the job done more efficiently. And then if they come to me with more copies of the same document or the same price listing, but maybe updated to include more stuff, all I've got to do, as you've seen in prior lessons, is make sure that I can save the layout and I can also export the layout so that others might use it. Point being that I can provide this as a service to people, and you could realistically bill $1,000 a day to do something like this. You bill them for a day of work, getting the conversion done. It's easily worth $1,000 to them, probably more, which means one job pays for PDF to Excel several times over. So that, again, it just makes sense. If you're going to take the time to learn a product like this, then why not build it into your practice as another stream of revenue? As of the time I'm recording this, I recently launched Course 21, which is all about how to build and grow your accounting or bookkeeping practice in the cloud in today's day and age. And one of the things I've learned to do over the years in my own businesses is every time that I learn a new skill, I think of ways that I can turn that skill into a money-making, a revenue stream, if you will. So that if I'm going to buy a product like PDF to Excel and learn to use it to make my life easier, why not then offer that as a service to clients? It's a simple thing to throw up another page on your website that says, hey, we can get lengthy PDF documents converted to Excel for you. And then write content aimed specifically at manufacturing companies, right? Use those keywords in the content that you write. Logistics companies, import-export companies, medical supply companies, and so on. They can all use this kind of service. And they're either going to buy PDF to Excel themselves and learn to use it to do it for themselves, or maybe they'll just find it makes sense to hire you to do it since you already own and have the product and know how to use it. That, my friends, is where it's at. And that, my friends, is how you can take what you've learned here in this course and turn it very specifically into a stream of revenue that fits perfectly in the scheme of a value pricing model. As always, I hope you learned a lot and had some fun along the way. I hope that you really take this to heart. Download and install PDF to Excel. If you haven't already, make sure you learn how to use this product because it's going to make your life easier and it's going to enable you to build yet another stream of revenue into your own business. Who knows, you might end up growing quite a vertical out of the use of a product like this just by itself. As always, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day and I look forward to seeing you on the web. I keep talking about the firm of the future, how to build that firm, what that looks like. I think that what I've just shown you in this course is yet another example of a product that's going to help you take your firm into becoming that firm of the future. It all comes down to one basic principle. I'm going to use applications, tools that are out there, to help me get the job done that much more efficiently. And by employing a value pricing model, those increased efficiencies result in greater profitability for my firm, while the client still gets amazing value, because also in that extra time that gets freed up, I can provide a much more powerful, much more valuable service to my clients. Hopefully you can see that after having reviewed a course like this, where you can take the time that it would have taken previously without a tool like this and cut it down by half, if not more, and based on that, provide your firm with that increased efficiency, provide your clients with that extra value, because now you can spend some of that extra time doing more analytical type work instead of being a transactional accountant at the core. This is the firm of the future. This is the kind of tool that's going to help you get there. I hope you can see that. As always, if you have questions, comments, feedback, visit our answers forum right here at schoolofbookkeeping.com. If you're not a student, become one so that you can use that answers forum right here at schoolofbookkeeping.com, and we'll always get back to you within 24 hours. As always, I hope you had fun and learned something along the way, and we'll see you in the next course.